Hey there, everybody. This is your friendly neighborhood therapist, Alfonso. Did you guys know that there is a distinct difference between somebody who is a narcissist and somebody who is antisocial? I think you all need to know this because you may be in a relationship with somebody who has one or both of those disorders. Y'all hang around, your friendly neighborhood therapist got you. I'm gonna make sure I'll break you off a piece of knowledge so you know the difference. Hang in there, be right back. In the meantime, let's go ahead and cue that music. Hey there, everybody. This is your friendliest neighborhood therapist, Alfonso, over here at Mental Matters, and I hope that you guys are already having an amazing day on purpose. Hey, I need to bring something to your attention or expound on something that I brought to your attention in a short that I did a little while ago. And I was talking about individuals that you may be in relationship with who may be an undercover narcissist or may have some symptoms of a narcissistic personality disorder. So the reason I'm doing this video as opposed to a follow-up short is because I want to explain something that a person left a comment on my YouTube channel about. An individual can actually have traits of a disorder, but not have the full-fledged disorder itself. Now, in order to diagnose somebody with a mental health disorder, they have to have certain diagnostic criteria. We use this right here. It's called the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. We use this to diagnose psychiatric physicians. In psychiatry and mental health and in physical health, in order for somebody to have a particular disorder, they have to meet certain conditions. An individual may have characteristics of a disorder, but not the disorder itself. Now, my point in the short was to say that even if an individual doesn't have the actual disorder, the symptoms that they have could be prevalent enough that it can actually have a very negative impact on their lives and in relationships. Let's look at it this way. One thing that most of us, believe it or not, have in common, and it's for security reasons, we can leave our office or our home and we're sure that we've locked the door, but we'll actually check the lock or whatever 2 or 3 times just to make sure. Then, like in my case, when I'm leaving my office, I'll walk down the hall. I'll come back that last time just to make sure that somehow, some way that lock didn't come undone. Now, individuals who have that chronic obsessive desire to do things in a repetitious way, we look at that as being a part of OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, which is a bona fide psychiatric disorder. But individuals who check their door constantly doesn't mean that they have OCD. They have an OCD-like trait, but they don't have the other things that come along with the disorder in order to be diagnosed with it. I'm saying that to say this. An individual can actually have the traits of narcissism in a relationship without having the full disorder. Now, the other thing that I wanted to kind of differentiate with that is I've heard people say, Mr. Lewis, this person is definitely a narcissist. And I know we kind of throw that term around kind of loosely. A person can have those traits. And the thing is, the difference between the traits that show up inside a relationship versus having it as an umbrella. An individual who has narcissistic personality disorder is that way all the time. An individual who may have narcissistic traits may show them only in the confines of certain relationships. And not everybody who demonstrates narcissistic traits with you or in the confines of relationships actually act that way around other people. One of the things that go along with that is that when a person who has narcissistic traits operating within the relationship, they may actually feel like they are better than you. They may feel like they have a right to do things in a way that prioritizes them. They may have an obsessive, insatiable need for you to affirm and validate them. They may continue to tell you all the things that they do that are great and grandiose so that it's impacting the two of you. But that individual with the trait within the relationship, when they are outside of the relationships, they may not act that way at all. As a matter of fact, an individual who has narcissistic traits within the relationship can actually suffer from very low self-esteem when they are around other people. So once again, the reason that I wanted to bring this to your attention is to make sure that we understand an individual can actually have a trait of something, but not have the full disorder. Now, all that to decide, whether the individual has it as a trait specific to the relationship with you or has it more of as an umbrella, if and when that kind of mindset is creating problems for you in the relationship, chances are that's not going to change. Individuals will typically place a value on things that are in our lives. And if we feel like you are lesser than I am, it's what used to be called a caste, C-A-S-T-E system in different countries. India, it was that way. I want to say in Great Britain and other countries, other cultures. I don't want to run the risk of insulting anybody because I may be wrong. But there are some cultures where people are born in a caste system. And if you're here in this system and somebody else is here, nothing that you can do can bring them up to here. In other words, they actually feel like they are born to be better than you are. That doesn't change. So when you are with an individual who's demonstrating narcissistic-like characteristics within the confines of your relationship, it doesn't matter whether they have the full-blown disorder or not. It's how it impacts you. And one of the reasons I'm bringing this to your attention, again, is for you to understand that individual is likely not going to change as it relates to you. The other thing about narcissism as a disorder versus the traits of it with you within the confines of a relationship, it's not that a narcissist cannot feel. A narcissist chooses not to feel as it relates to you or anybody that they think is lower than them. People think that a narcissist is replete, is bereft of having an ability to feel remorse. That's not true with narcissistic personality disorder. That's something that's more akin to what we call an antisocial personality disorder. An individual who's narcissistic chooses not to feel. An individual who has antisocial personality disorder almost cannot feel. A narcissist can do something to hurt somebody else and will go a long way to show remorse. But if they think they're better than you, they won't do anything to show remorse. But an individual who has antisocial personality disorder or traits, they are that way with everybody. They can murder, they can rob, they can rape, they can do anything. They constantly violate the law. They simply do not feel any remorse for what they do. So oftentimes I hear people confuse those two or conflate those two, where somebody that they're in a relationship with may actually have symptoms or is a full-blown narcissist, but not antisocial. So once again, an individual who has narcissistic traits or an individual who has narcissistic personality disorder, once again, as defined by the DSM-5, that individual is not bereft of feelings. It is a choice. When the individual has antisocial personality disorder, they just don't care. Quite often we see antisocial personality disorder in individuals who suffer from sociopathy or people who commit crimes, and they once again simply have no ability, no desire whatsoever to feel remorse for what they do. We see this in serial killers, we see this in serial rapists, people who repeatedly rob banks and do things like that. They don't care. Now here's the thing, a person can actually have traits of both. They can actually have sociopathy or they can be antisocial and narcissistic. The most dangerous of those two is when you're in a relationship with someone who has antisocial traits. That's where we find individuals who beat and commit domestic violence, and they do it repetitively. They just don't feel anything. A sociopath is not always narcissistic, and a narcissist is not always a sociopath. That's why these two disorders can coexist together, or they can be separate. But once again, I just wanted to do this video, a bit longer version of the short in this video to give you guys more information about the difference between the two and the fact that it doesn't matter whether the individual has the trait or has a disorder. Bottom line is that a person who's sociopathic, antisocial, or narcissistic, when they have decided that they can abuse you, where they can cheat on you, they can violate you, they can do anything because they feel like they're better than you or they don't care for you, you need to run far away and stay far away. Hey, you guys know what I love to tell you. I really do love you. I'm madly in love with you. And you know what? There's nothing you can do about it. That's my choice. The other thing I always say is, if at all possible, if you can, reach down and help pick somebody else up. And the final thing that I love to tell you guys, if anybody comes at you and tells you that the way to do better yourself is to put somebody else down, please don't subscribe to that platform. You can have everything that God has for you, and I don't ask for forgiveness for that. You guys know I'm a religious person. You can have what you want, and you don't have to hurt anybody else in the process. Hey, you guys have an amazing day on purpose. Once again, from this friendly neighborhood therapist heart to yours, my mouth to your ears, I really do love you. Peace.